Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started with our welcome/orientation chat. So hello, everybody. First thing is we're going to do roll call. One second. Okay, so the roll call question is, what is your favorite type of cereal? So how we're going to manage roll calls is you just put an X in the chat, and then I will call on people in the order that they show up in the chat. And how it works, if you're calling in on a phone, is I'm going to go through all of the X's in the chats, and then I'll get the phone people at the end of the list. And if you have any questions and you're calling in on the phone, you can put an X or just put your question in the group me. I have that open, so I'll make sure to watch that too. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get started with Texas State.
I think this number, hands down, it was probably Lucky Charms.
All right. Do you prefer the cereal or the marshmallows? Or do you like both equally?
Probably both, but I guess like the marshmallows.
Really? I don't like the marshmallows. They're too sugary. SFA.
I'd probably go with Fruit Loops.
Nice. Texas A&M.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch because it's the taste you can see.
All right. OU. Steven? I can't hear you. Okay. Can you hear me? You're good? Okay. Where did I leave off? Okay. I try to call everyone's school names, but some of you, I don't know your school. So Ivy, what's your school? And then what's your cereal?
University of North Texas, and it's Captain Crunch Berries.
Nice. University of Houston.
My favorite cereal is Honey Bunches of Oats.
Nice. University of Central Arkansas.
Frosted Mini Wheats.
Arkansas Tech.
I would say Raisin Bran.
Okay. Centenary.
Captain Crunch.
Texas Tech.
Rice Krispies.
Do you put sugar on them or no?
No.
No?
I'm that weirdo.
Then TAMU Commerce.
Fruity Pebbles.
Nice. Brian, you put another X in the chat.
My bad.
Okay. St. Mary's.
Honey Nut Cheerios.
Nice. And then for the phone, do we have anyone calling in? I don't believe so. If I did not call your university's name, now is the time to talk. Okay.
I was having internet issues a minute ago, but WT, just in case.
Less text. Okay, there it is. Nick, what is your favorite cereal?
Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Nice. And Baylor, what is your favorite cereal?
I'm going to say Honey Bunches of Oats.
Nice. Okay, I think that's everyone. My favorite cereal is Chex. So, okay, does everyone have the agenda pulled up? Just you're probably going to want to follow along with that as we go through the meeting. Next thing is just the kind of welcome introduction to me. My name is Connor Dizor. I am the coordinating officer for presidential relations, so y'all are stuck with me. There's my contact info, email, and my phone number. Whatever's more comfortable for you to use is okay with me. If you want to shoot me an email, that's fine. If you want to text me, if you want to call me, if you want to put it in the group me, whatever. Whatever is easiest and more comfortable for you to use is fine with me. I just ask that you contact me between 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. And that's any day, weekends included. I just do that for my own sanity. I'm trying this new thing where I set work boundaries. So, because I will totally stay up answering emails until like 2 a.m. I've done it before, and I need to not do that. So try and keep it between those times. If it's after 9 p.m., I may get back to you, I may not. So just know that. But you can, whatever is comfortable for you is cool with me. As far as myself, I am going into my senior year. I'm hosted by Louisiana State University, and I've been a part of RHA for 3 full years now, going on to my 4th year. I started out with Hall Council my freshman year and worked my way up in that. I was vice president of my RHA my sophomore year. Last year as a junior, I was director of volunteers and philanthropy for the fall, and then our vice president quit, so I moved back up into vice president for the spring. And back in January, I was also appointed as the COPR for the region. The position right now I was appointed to, back at No Frills in February, I ran for the position for the 2016-2017 year and got elected to that. So now I'm going to be continuing as COPR for next year. I'm from a little town called Bruley, Louisiana. It's right across the Mississippi River from Baton Rouge, about 10 minutes away from LSU. So didn't move far for college. I'm a religious studies major, going to grad school for student affairs. Thinking about taking a gap year though and doing the Disney college program. So if any of you have done that, hit me up. I'd love to talk about it. If any of you love Disney and just want to talk about Disney, I love that too. As far as me, I play the flute. My favorite color is blue. I enjoy Netflix and hang out with friends. I just started Orange is the New Black like a week ago, so I'm kind of obsessed with that. Especially now that they came out with the new season. But basically, this is like half of my life. So it's kind of my thing that I do. So does anybody have any questions, I guess, about me? Anything that I didn't mention that you would like to know? I'm really personable. Like, I feel like a lot of times people see my title and think I'm like this really big, important person. And I do important things, but I'm pretty approachable, I'd like to think. So if you ever want to know anything, feel free to ask. So moving on, Zoom/chat etiquette and the like. So Zoom is the video conferencing software that all of NACURH uses. So anyone in NACURH is going to be using Zoom. So obviously all of you have found your way onto this chat. So this is exactly what you're going to do for every single chat that we have. All of our chats will have an agenda like the one that you're reading now. And it's all that information up at the top. So the link to the chat information, the code, the phone number to call if you're calling in, all of that stuff should be at the top of every agenda. So all of that should be good. You can use the link to get here. You can use the code. You can use the phone number to call in. Whatever works for you for that particular chat is totally fine. It all gets you to the same place. Setting up an account with Zoom might be the best way to go. Also, I found out today that there is a Zoom app. So looking at getting that app might be pretty cool too, because we have quite a few chats and they're all done with Zoom. So anything that'll make it easier to connect is probably a good idea. Part of Zoom etiquette, and this is pretty much NACURH-wide, is putting yourself on mute. As soon as you enter chat, whenever I run chats, I try to set it up to where it mutes automatically whenever you enter. But if I don't, or if whoever's running the chat doesn't do that, just know it's polite and proper Zoom etiquette to go ahead and mute yourself. So that way we don't have a lot of background noise. Whenever someone isn't on mute and you hear everything that's going on around them, you can tell it gets pretty annoying. If you want to speak at all in the chat, you just go ahead and put an X in the chat. I have the chat open. I also have the group me up, so if the chat isn't working or you can't access the chat or whatever, just put something in the group me and I'll make sure to see that. But that's how, it's kind of like raising your placard or raising your hand or something. It's how I know that you have something to say. So just go ahead and put an X in the chat if you ever have anything to say. Also, pay attention. So a lot of times, I know some chats can get pretty boring. You have other stuff going on, but try and dedicate chat time to the chat. Important stuff gets shared, and I know I don't like repeating myself. If you go to any other chat, I'm sure whoever's running that chat wouldn't like to repeat themselves. So make sure that you're paying attention, taking notes if you need to. It's always a good idea to have a pen and paper or a notes kind of tab up on your computer. So make sure that you're just paying attention. And I have a question for everyone, and y'all can, the question is, would y'all prefer just having your agendas pulled up on your own computers, or would y'all rather me share my screen and have the agenda up so the screen that you're looking at is the agenda? There's pros and cons to both. This way I get to see you all and you get to see my face, and it's a lot more personable than sharing a screen. The pros of sharing a screen is you're looking at the agenda, you're looking at what I'm looking at, and you're following along. So I guess we could take a little impromptu vote. Put in the chat either agenda or share screen. And I'll know agenda will be if you want to have your own agenda pulled up. A share screen will be you want me to share my screen so that your screen is the agenda. Okay, easy enough. We're gonna go ahead and do like we are doing right now, and y'all will have your own agendas pulled up. Just make sure that you're actually following along. Be an active participant in chats. So a lot of times in chats that I've been on, the host of the chat will ask a question and it'll just be like blank stares. So make sure that if a question is being asked, you're responding. You're being an active participant in the chat, basically. Also, I have in there, please remind me to press record at the beginning of each chat. I try to put in the agendas a big press record memo for myself, but I also rely on you guys to keep me on the right track. I try to record all of the chats so that way I don't have to do makeup chats. So please, as being an active participant, make sure somebody's reminding me to press record. Be respectful of time. So if the chat is set up for 8 o'clock, try to be there beforehand. I know my computer sucks and it takes forever to load up onto a chat. So I usually try to log on to a chat about 10 or 15 minutes ahead of time. Try to do that. If you know you're going to be running late or potentially might be late for a chat, let me know ahead of time. So that way I know, oh, we can wait a couple minutes on this person, or I'll just go ahead and get started and I know that, you know, so-and-so is running late. And in that, I will try to be respectful of your time and keep chats to an hour max. Try. Sometimes chats are just lengthy and we really have to get through the information. Also, all chats are mandatory unless I tell you otherwise. So for instance, it is expected that everyone shows up to this chat if you can make it. The chats throughout the year are informational chats. Those are definitely mandatory. And we'll talk about those later. But an example of like a non-mandatory chat would have been the pre-NACURH chat. Because obviously not everyone's going to NACURH. That information doesn't apply to everyone, so that wouldn't be required. Does anyone have any questions about Zoom or chats or chat etiquette or anything like that? Go ahead and put an X in the chat. All right, seeing none, we will move on to more just the orientation stuff. So NACURH. What is NACURH? NACURH stands for the National Association of College and University Residence Halls. I have the link to the NACURH website right there. It's just nacurh.org. And here is the structure. You can see it's that map of kind of the breakdown. From left to right, that kind of aquamarine tealish looking blue is PACURH, so it's the Pacific. And then going right, that red is IACURH, the Intermountain. Up top, that kind of shade of periwinkle blue is MACURH, so that's the Midwest. And then down in green, that's us, that's SWACURH, Southwest. GLUCURH is that lighter blue, it's Great Lakes. The yellow down at the bottom right is SWACURH, that's the South Atlantic. The gray is the Central Atlantic. And then top right is NACURH, so that's Northeast. And then underneath, you can see all of the international places. So technically, Mexico is part of SWACURH as well, though we do not have any Mexican schools affiliated with us. A lot of the Canadian places are either going to be in NACURH, GLUCURH, MACURH, IACURH, or PACURH, since those are all share the northern border. And then there's also just some other international places, South Africa, Qatar, Quebec, that's Canada, but you can see those there. So those are the 8 regions of NACURH. And if you're going to the NACURH conference, you will get very familiar with all of those. NACURH is also comprised of 2 offices. So there's the NACURH Information Center, or the NIC, and that is housed at the University of Nebraska at Lincoln right now. And they mainly deal with NACURH affiliation. So that's kind of their go-to. As presidents, you don't really have to deal that often with the NIC. It's mainly for RBD and NCC. Then there's the NSRO, or the NACURH Services and Recognition Office, currently housed at Kent State. And the main thing with that is NACURH merchandise and pins. So they have a NACURH store, which is online that you can go check out. I think I saw a social media post saying that because of the NACURH conference, the online store is going to be closed until after the conference. But if you're going to national conference, NSRO will be there selling merchandise. So make sure that you bring a little money if you want some NACURH swag. Moving on, there's the NACURH Board of Directors, or the NBD. And basically the people who make up the NBD, there's the NACURH chairperson. Currently his name is Nathan Tack. And he is the CEO and main person of NACURH Incorporated. Kind of big deal. There's the NACURH Associate for Administration, and then NACURH Associate for Finance. The NBD liaison from the annual conference staff, the conference resource consultant, the NACURH advisor, and then all of the regional directors. So Molly represents SWACURH on the NBD, all the regional finance officers. So Ashley Cantu, our ADAF, she represents our finance to NACURH. And then the NIC's director and finance officer, as well as the NSRO's director and finance officer. All of those people make up the NACURH Board of Directors. And then there's the NACURH NRHH Board. There's a NACURH Associate for NRHH, all of the 80 NRHHs from the 8 regions, and then the NRHH reps from the NIC and NSRO. So you don't really deal with those people much on a day-to-day basis. It's kind of cool just to know who they are and that they are a resource for you. But you really start to deal with those people more as you get involved with NACURH task forces and at the NACURH conference itself. But it is part of who we are since we are an affiliate of NACURH. So I just wanted to share that information with you all. The annual conference is what is coming up this week. It's held once a year for everyone in NACURH to attend, and it's basically just a large regional conference. There's programming, there's corporate business, there's spirit, there's all sorts of stuff. It's basically a regional conference on steroids. As far as NACURH history, you can see here that in 1954 is technically like the official birth of NACURH. Or as it was called then, the Association for College and University Residence Halls. It got started, it was at a particular university. I don't know. It's on the NACURH wiki page if you want to know. But then it goes through, lots of stuff happens. Highlight right here in 1980 is when SWACURH split from NACURH. But that's basically just a little NACURH history for you. Does anyone have any questions about NACURH Incorporated, the large corporation that we are a part of? All right, moving on to SWACURH. There is our website's link. It's just swacurh.nacurh.org. A little bit of history. We technically were formed in 1980 whenever we split from the Midwest, which is so weird because why would SWACURH, like why would Louisiana ever be considered Midwest? I don't know. But for one part, we were technically part of SWACURH, which is South Atlantic, which makes more sense. But now, 1980, we are a part of SWACURH. We are the smallest region. We have 4 states in Mexico. Technically, GLACURH has 4 states and part of Canada, so kind of even with them. But we have roughly 36 affiliated schools, while GLACURH has much more. So as far as affiliated schools, we are the smallest region. Our mascot is Swag Daddy the duck, and there's a little picture of him there. We love our Swag Daddy. Our colors are green and yellow, and the official codes for the exact type of green and exact type of yellow are right there if you need them. Our official logos are put there in the agenda for you. My personal favorite is the one with the states. I just like the way it looks. And then this one is our alternate logo. So every now and then you'll see that third logo put places, but mainly it's going to be those first 2. As far as the structure of SWACURH is concerned, we have our Regional Board of Directors, or the RBD. Our director is Molly McKinstry. She's the outgoing director. As of this coming Sunday, our new director is going to be Kaisha Isidore, and there's the email there. Our associate director for NRHH is Jesse Moore, and then as of Sunday, it will be Lila Machado. Our associate director, let me kind of describe it. So the director, mainly the director deals with the NCCs, but she is a resource for all of you as well. The director is in charge of the rest of the RBD. They represent SWACURH to NACURH. They're basically like the president of an organization. They're the go-to person for most business things. The AD NRHH is the go-to for NRHH stuff. So all of the NRHH reps in the region, they answer to the AD NRHH. Associate Director for Administration and Finance, or the ADAF, is Ashley Cantu. As of Sunday, it'll be Katie Miller. And the ADAF basically creates our budget for the year and maintains that. They take minutes at meetings, they update any legislation that we pass, that sort of stuff. If any of your treasurers or finance officers of your RHAs have any questions or difficulties budgeting or anything, I know Katie, the incoming ADAF, is really wanting to help those people and work with them to establish concrete, solid budgets. So definitely take her up on that. Let your treasurers or finance officers know that the ADAF is a resource for them. The coordinating officer for marketing and technology is currently Katie Miller, but as of Sunday, it will be Christina Vaca. And they're in charge of all of our marketing and social media stuff, as well as upkeep of our website and all of our technology. Then there's me, the COPR. And as I said, I am outgoing and incoming as well. Then there's the CORN, the Coordinating Officer for Recognition and NRHH Development. The outgoing CORN is Kelly Morris, and our incoming is Patrick Bussiere. I probably butchered his last name, I always do. But anyway, they're more for NRHH people. If your school does not have an NRHH chapter, let Patrick know. If you're interested in starting an NRHH chapter, Patrick and Lila will be your go-to people. So you can definitely work with them to establish an NRHH chapter. If your NRHH chapter is struggling and wants to build themselves up, again, those are your contact people for that. Our regional conference co-chairs are Alex and Mirandy, and then they just are the chairs in charge of planning regional conference, which we'll talk about later. And then our No Frills conference chairs are Alicia and Isha Mohammed, and Alicia is here with us. Hello. She's the president for Texas State. So yay, we have presidents doing important things. Our regional advisor is Emily Davis. She is also continuing as advisor next year. And then the regional NRHH advisor is Ty Kruger, but as of Sunday, it will be Sarah Amberson. So all of those people, I know whenever I was like a freshman and sophomore, I thought of the RBD as people who were like way up there that you don't really talk to and are super formal and official people and blah, 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 blah. We are here to help you. I absolutely love it whenever I get emails and texts from anybody in the region, because I know I can help them with something. And I know that the rest of the RBD feels the exact same way. So please never hesitate to contact any of those people. More of the structure of the region, there's our National Communications Coordinators, or NCCs. They're the primary contact between SWACURH and the affiliated schools. And they have voting and speaking rights in both joint boardroom as well as the NCC boardroom. Pretty much at conferences, that's like their baby. And over the past couple years, as I've been on my RHA exec, I've learned but that's not always the easiest thing for a president to do. Usually as presidents, we're very used to being the person in charge of our organization. But for conferences, that most definitely is a task that you have to just delegate to your NCCs. Conferences are their job. It's what they do the whole year long. So really let your NCC handle conferences. It's their job. It's what they do. NRHH reps are the NRHH representatives from your NRHH chapter. They're the primary contact between SWACURH and its NRHH chapters. They usually get speaking rights in joint boardroom, as well as voting rights in their NRHH boardrooms. And then there's us. We're the secondary contact for both SWACURH's affiliated schools and its NRHH chapters. But you're my primary contact. So if I have anything going on, you're the first person I contact. You have speaking rights that can be yielded to you in joint boardroom. So if you have something to say in joint boardroom, I definitely encourage you, please speak up. I'm constantly fighting for presidents and working on behalf of presidents on the RBD. I've been trying to get presidents to have speaking rights in joint boardroom, but the rest of the board, justly so, like it's a fair argument, feels like that would just add to confusion in boardroom. So right now, if you have something that you want to say, you can always have your NCC raise their placard and then yield to the president. So that way you can talk. It's kind of a step more than I wish, but you definitely have speaking rights in boardroom. You just have to be yielded to. But you definitely have voting rights and speaking rights in president's boardroom whenever we have our own separate boardrooms. So that's always fun. And unfortunately, you are not recognized at the NACURH level. NACURH only recognizes speaking rights and voting rights for NCCs and NRHH reps. So at NACURH, we can really only observe and tell NCCs what we would like them to say, but presidents cannot actually get up and talk at NACURH corporate boardroom, unfortunately. As far as conferences are concerned, for the region, we have the NACURH annual conference coming up, obviously, which you all have heard lots about. There's our regional conference, which is held every fall. This upcoming fall, it's going to be October 20th through the 23rd at the University of Texas. And I have the Facebook page linked here in the agenda. Go like the Facebook page. A lot of good information gets posted to the Facebook page. Their website will become active hopefully soon. As soon as the website's active, I will let y'all know. And you all participate in boardroom at the regional conference. So you will not go to regional conference just as a regular delegate. Now that you are a president, you show up and you sit in boardroom with the NCCs and the NRHH reps. Then in the spring, we have our No Frills conference, which is personally my favorite because it's all business, but that's just because I like boardroom. And that will be February 10th through the 12th at Texas State. Alicia, if y'all have a website active, you can, no, not yet. Do you have a Facebook page yet? Okay, I couldn't find it. If you could put the link to the Facebook page in the chat, I'll go ahead and add that to the agenda. So Facebook page is coming, and literally No Frills is all boardroom. You get there on a Friday, and we start boardroom, and that's where the new RBD gets elected. It's where any conferences that are coming up that we need to, a university needs to bid to host. So for instance, this past No Frills are, we voted on the SWACURH conference hosts, right? Yeah. So any conferences that are coming up, we allow, we vote on which schools we want to host those. We pass legislation at this conference. We do a lot of business. There we go. Instagram and Twitter for No Frills is at TXSTNoFrills17. one thing about me, I cannot multitask at all. So if I have to type something, I can't talk. Okay, so Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook are all in the agenda now. Go add them, go follow them, go like them, go do everything. Go poke them if you can. I always like poking. Any questions about SWACURH as a region? I know that was a lot of information. All right, seeing none, we will move on to the presidential regional duties. So I know you all have lots of duties and responsibilities on your own campus. And trust me, I am cognizant of that. So I definitely keep that in mind. You'll have a lot going on. But as presidents affiliated with SWACURH, you also have additional duties to the region. And these are those. Chats. So all chats are mandatory unless otherwise specified. If you cannot make a chat, you must send some form of representative. Your school needs to be represented at chats. I will be taking attendance, and I'm currently still working with Kaisha on exactly what policy we want. But right now, we're looking at trying to come up with a policy where if you miss so many chats, your speaking or voting rights might be taken away at conferences. And we do not want that to happen. So please always send some form of representation to these chats if they are mandatory, which all of them are unless specified. Okay, I cannot stress that enough. Chats, I promise, will usually not take longer than an hour. We will have president chats once a month. So what those are general updates from the region, from NACURH. I try to update y'all, you update me on what y'all are doing at your universities. I also try to encompass some form of leadership development training into those chats. I want to make sure that y'all are getting developed as leaders as well. So trust me, I try to make those chats fun and worth your time. This chat is probably going to be like the most tedious and boring chat of the year, hopefully, because it's just a lot of me talking at you. So hopefully they'll get a lot better. We also have president chats once a month, or coffee with the copper. So it's something that I just came up with. Y'all may have noticed in the groupie. Coffee with the copper is an informal kind of roundtable sort of discussion. And those are going to be held once a month. So what I'm going to do is 1 week will be president chat, skip a week, coffee with copper. Skip a week, president chat, skip a week, coffee with copper. So we should be having 1 hour meetings every other week. But one of those is going to be a president chat, one of those is going to be coffee with copper. Okay? And then we'll also have special chats as needed, like this, like the pre-NACURH chat. We'll have a pre-SWACURH chat, all those sorts of things. If we need a special chat, we most definitely will have those. Also, another duty is task forces. So everyone in the region has an opportunity to participate in task forces, and there are also NACURH task forces, which you have the opportunity in participating in, and I will let y'all know about those as I get told about them. So some task forces are definitely more involved than others. For instance, I was the chair of the NACURH Prep Task Force. We started doing work back in April, and we're still doing work. I think we basically just kind of finished everything this past week. So that one took 3 months. Some task forces are maybe 2 weeks. So, you know, you can kind of gauge those. But one expectation that I'm setting forward of you all is I would like for all of you, each president, to sit on at least one task force this year. Again, you can judge which task forces you can manage. If you don't have 3 months to sit on a task force, that's okay. There are some that are 2 months, or some that are 2 weeks, you know. But I would appreciate each president sitting on at least one task force. I'm going to make sure that everyone in the RBD that's heading a task force lets me know which one of their members are presidents, and I will keep track. I'm not setting it forward as a mandatory thing, but it is an expectation. I want you all to get involved in this region. I think presidents have a lot of insight that's very valuable, and in the past it hasn't really been getting heard because I think NCCs play a large role in the region, but presidents play a large role too, and I want y'all to start stepping into that. So at the very least, I want to see at least one president on each task force that we have. I think that if we have a task force that doesn't have a president's voice represented in it, that we are losing our voice in the region. So I'll definitely be keeping in contact with you all about task forces throughout the year. And what they are, the reason why we call them task forces instead of committees is task forces have a specific job. And once the job is done, then the task force is done. So for instance, every year we have either a SWACURH policy review committee or bylaw review committee that basically looks at the policy book or looks at the bylaws and just goes through and sees what can we change and write legislation on. Those typically last maybe a month right before a conference. And so what you do is you might write, you'll look it over, you'll write a piece of legislation or two, and then you're done. So that would be an example of just a very straightforward 1 month long task force. Once you do your part of the task force, you're done. So they're definitely not too long. And then participating in boardroom is another duty. If you're at a conference, you must attend boardroom. If you cannot make a conference, try to send a proxy to go in your place, like your vice president or somebody like that, to go represent your school. Because we do have our own president's boardroom that you're not going to want to miss. You can still present programs at conferences, but we're going to work with the conference staff to schedule you an afternoon presentation time, because usually boardrooms happen in the morning. If the particular conference that we're at has boardroom throughout the day, then I will excuse you to go and present your program. I want y'all to be able to present programs at conferences, and I won't penalize you for that. But we're going to try to make sure that you have representation in boardroom at all times. Be an active participant. Have active participation in the GroupMe. Please do not put the GroupMe on mute. I know at times it gets pretty busy and there's lots of conversation going on, but it's probably pretty important conversation. Also, I try to keep the GroupMe chill as much as I can. I know sometimes, especially around the time of a chat, it gets pretty active with people asking questions about the chat and RSVPing whether they're going or not. But please, 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 the GroupMe is a very important avenue of communication, and I don't want people to miss things because they have it on mute. So please do not mute the GroupMe. If you have it muted, please go unmute yourself. Yeah, and then last thing, make sure you're checking your emails, and if it warrants a response, or if I just straight up ask for a response, please make sure that you're responding. I want to make sure that everyone's getting my emails. All of my emails have important information in them, so I want you all to be checking that. If you are not getting my emails, please let me know as soon as possible so that I can correct your email in my list. Does anyone have any questions about your duties and expectations for the year? Also, does anybody have any expectations of me? I know whenever I started this position, I asked the presidents then if they had expectations of me, and I got things like, you know, open, honest communication. So I try to be upfront with y'all with my communication. I got things like, please be available if we need to talk to you. So I try to make myself as available as possible. I've gotten things like be more of a resource, because in the past, the COPR hasn't been that much of a resource for presidents. So I try to do that. I try to do leadership development opportunities. I try to give y'all opportunities to write legislation and sit on task forces and stay up to date with what's going on in the region. But does anybody have any expectations of me as your COPR going into the year? Yeah, we're a quiet group. Okay, well, seeing none, I wanted to just real quick go through kind of some of the main acronyms that I could think of that we use in the region. So NCC is the National Communications Coordinator. NRHH is the National Residence Hall Honorary. So I've been talking about NRHH. If you don't know what it is, it's basically an honor society for people who live on campus. It is the sister organization to RHA, or hall councils and hall government, whatever you call it on your campus. And basically everything that happens within SWACURH and NACURH, there is complementary stuff with NRHH. So yeah. The NCCIT is the NCC in training. So a lot of schools who have good active membership, they don't just have an NCC, but they also have an NCC that is training another person who the expectation is that they're going to become the new NCC. So because it is such an active, busy role and there's a lot to learn, it's usually a good idea if you can to have an NCCIT. There's also NRHH reps have their own ITs sometimes. It's a little less common, but sometimes they'll have their ITs as well. So ITs are in trainings. So we use the term ITs to refer to NCCITs and NRHH rep ITs collectively. Sometimes the NCCIT is also called the NICURH. So if you hear NICURH, that's what that is. The ADAF is Associate Director for Administration and Finance, AD NRHH. COPR or copper is my position. So if you hear copper, that's me. The Coordinating Officer for Marketing and Technology is the COMT or COMET. So a lot of times we'll just say copper, COMET, corn to mean the CO positions. The RBD is the Regional Board of Directors. SWACURH is the Southwest Affiliate, and NACURH is the National Association. Those were pretty much like the main acronyms that I could think of. Also the NSRO and NIC, but I kind of mentioned this earlier. Does anyone have any questions about acronyms? Have I said anything that I glanced over and you're kind of confused about what that meant? Anything at all, please ask now. I don't want y'all to be confused. Are there any returners? If there's any important acronyms that you can think of that I didn't list, you can also go ahead and put that in the chat. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to general announcements. So if you're going to NACURH, this section is for you. There's a link to our roll call instructional video. Please go watch that, learn the dance, send it to your delegation, make sure they're learning the dance. It's going to be very important at NACURH whenever we're doing roll call that everyone knows this dance, because we don't want to all get there and look like we don't know what we're doing. So please watch that video. Also, the philanthropy this year for NACURH is going to be, they're going to video us doing a large group dance. That dance is very short, very easy to learn. The link is there. Again, go to that link, watch that video, make sure everyone in your delegation is watching the video and learning the dance. And then as far as the NACURH prep chat, I know I kept saying I was trying to record that chat. That didn't work out. So what I'm going to do is just record myself giving that presentation for the chat, and then send that out to any presidents that are going to NACURH that weren't able to attend any of the prep chats. Okay, we have our first coffee with the copper coming up. It's going to deal with exec retreats and trainings. So please come to that. Those are mandatory, even if you're not, going to be doing an exec retreat or training, which first of all, I highly suggest that you do. Exec retreats are super important for bonding and getting to know each other as an exec board. And as well as training is super important to make sure everyone's on the same page and is well prepared to do their job. So they're very important. If you're not planning to do one, I highly suggest that you do. But we're going to be talking about, and it's a roundtable, so it's not a chat. I'll facilitate and I'll give ideas, but it's mainly going to be you guys sharing ideas with each other, things that have worked for you in the past, things that haven't. So that. The possible dates are going to be July 5th through the 13th. I have a When is Good calendar active for that, and the link is down there in the agenda. So if you haven't filled that out, please go fill it out. If you need to update your availability now that you have different availabilities for July from when you filled it out before, please make sure you're going update that calendar. I have 14 responses so far, and so far there's no one time that accommodates anyone. I think the times that have the most people accommodated are ones that let 9 people can show up and 5 people can't. So yeah, if you can't make the chat, again, you can always send a proxy, and I will record that one as well. But please make every effort to attend that one whenever we set a date for it. And if you go and make sure, whenever you fill out the calendar, make sure that you're filling out your name and putting any comments on there that you can. If you're going to edit your response or fill it out a second time with new availability, make sure that you put in the comments most up to date or something like that, so I know which availability is the availability that you want me to use. And these are going to be due by June 29th. So if you haven't done it or you need to update it, do all of that by June 29th, okay? Again, unmute the GroupMe if you have it on mute. And if you're not getting emails from me, please let me know at the end of this chat, okay? Don't leave this chat without letting me know if you're not getting emails. Does anyone have any questions at all about anything so far? Yes, Texas Tech.
So I realize this is a way off, but you did mention it. With SWACURH and programming and being in boardroom, I know someone going with us to NACURH ran into this. Like, she's going to be in boardroom, but they scheduled her program for there. So how would we make sure that doesn't happen at SWACURH? Email you when we get accepted, or?
So what you can do is I might ahead of time to try and like proactively work against this. I'll work with the conference staff to see if in the programming application, they can be like a checkbox that says if you're going to be attending boardroom or not. So that way the programming chair can intentionally put all the people who are going to be in boardroom in a programming session that won't conflict with boardroom. So hopefully that will be the case. If not, or if you accidentally or end up getting put into a session where it's a session that's during boardroom, you can email me, you can email the conference staff, so sw_regionals@NACURH.org, or by that time there's the SWACURH conference website will be up, and on that website the programming chair will have their contact information, so their email address. You can just email the programming chair directly, and they should be able to switch your session time.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, good question. Any other questions? Anything at all. It can be completely random. So I always love seeing people's backgrounds in chats. Like Tyler was in a car before. Steven R. looks like he's in a warehouse or something. Where are you, Steven? R from Baylor.
I am at Baylor's research building right now.
Cool.
Yeah, we call it the Brick, which is actually a funny name for it since it used to be a tire factory, but it's our research facility.
It's so funny. Tyler, you were in a car earlier, weren't you?
I'm actually still in the car.
You're still in the car. Look at that. Are you
I have my laptop. No, I just got home. I got off work. My phone died, so I actually carry my laptop with me, so I just jumped on the laptop.
That is so clutch. Funny. Okay. We're going to have to do a thing where it's like each chat, we decide who has the craziest location that they're in. I know Kaisha, she showed up to an NCC chat once from Ecuador. And so she had like these gorgeous mountains in the background and everything is just gorgeous. That was pretty cool. Yeah, Steven, or Baylor.
So 2 questions for you. Our mandatory for NACURH, our mandatory region meeting is at 5 p.m. on Friday, correct?
Okay, yes. So for NACURH, if you're going to NACURH, the regional breakout at 5 is our regional breakout time. And we have asked all delegations to try and be at University of Delaware for 5 to attend that regional breakout. So if you're not able to be on campus by 5 on Friday, you need to contact Molly and let her know.
Okay. Second question is, there's not a specific attire for that, right? Other than wearing like maybe a university shirt or something like that?
For Friday?
Yes.
Right. So Friday, technically the conference said Friday you wear school spirit. If you want, if y'all have costumes or themes already set up. Any other questions? Yeah, Jessica.
Yes, I have a question about NACURH.
Okay.
I was talking to my NCC earlier, and she said that we need to be in business casual for Saturday and Sunday. And earlier in the chat, you said we just had to be in it Sunday. So I was just wondering exactly.
I will put in the group me right now, and I will have an answer for you at the end of the chat.
Okay.
Does anyone else have any other questions? Tara?
I was just going to tack on to what Jessica just said. That was why I asked the question again in the group meet earlier, was because my NCC came back and said Molly had told her we needed to pack business casual for both Saturday and Sunday.
Okay. I've been told otherwise, but I will ask again to make sure.
Okay.
Any other questions? If it's questions pertaining to NACURH, since everyone here is not going to the conference, you can wait until the end of the chat and I can answer those. But any other questions in general, other than the NACURH conference? Okay, so open forum is going to be an item at the end of every chat, and it is basically a time for, kind of like we've been doing for questions, but also if there's anything you want to say, anything that you want to add, anything at all, like, hey, you know, LSU is wanting an idea for a program. Does anyone have any cool programming ideas? You know, whatever. So anything you want to ask of the group, any just new information that you want to share, those sorts of things can be done during open forum. So we are now in open forum. Does anyone have anything to say? Yes, Tyler.
Just looking forward to having a good experience with you guys. This is my first year as president. I've been a part of RHA for 3 years as well. It's my senior year. So I'm looking to go out with a bang and just have a good time.
Wonderful. I'm looking forward to working with you as well. Okay, Molly says that you can wear casual clothes for Saturday, which is the corporate info session, but you need to wear business casual for corporate business, which is Sunday. You can change. Apparently, corporate info and corporate business are both happening on Saturday. So this is so confusing. I'm so sorry, y'all. Conferences are such a mess. Can you please put, yeah, I will update the group me with all of the NACURH information. But not seeing any other things. One thing I do want to add real quick, you see what Connor put in the chat, those % signs. So that's how you type out snaps. So both on the regional level and NACURH, if you like something that someone says or you agree with something, we snap. And if it's through type, you do the little %. So those are snaps. So for instance, if I say something like, you know, shout out to University of Central Oklahoma because I saw on Facebook that they had a successful program, snaps to them. You can sit there and put % signs to congratulate University of Central Oklahoma, something like that. So, or if someone puts something in the chat, then you can be like, yeah, snaps. So yeah, that's just how we have a little bit of fun with our chats. Yeah, with all the snaps. Okay. For instance, you could also be shady with it. I support shade, but only if it's good-natured. So if it's used to hurt anyone, I do not support that. But for instance, if I say, okay, the chat is adjourned, you can totally put a whole bunch of snaps, and that's kind of funny. Brittany, yes.
So it's completely unrelated to anything in this chat at all. But so I'm staying on our on-campus like dorm-style apartments for the summer, and I guess I have a neighbor now through this nice wall here, and I can hear them, and it's kind of creepy. But I just felt like sharing.
That is hilarious. Is it like weird, like creepy, or is it just like bumps and like footsteps or something?
I can hear them like talking and playing music. So
if they ever say anything hilarious or weird, please put that in the group me. Wonderful. So yeah, I always think of the NCCs as like the really official, important people who have to be like all stuck up and stuff, but we get to have fun. Like, I hope that our chats are definitely fun. I hope the group me is fun. The group me is not always for business. If you have funny stuff that you want to say, you can totally put that in the group me. What I hope is for the end of this year for us to grow together as friends and colleagues. And if you ever have anything, I want you to feel like you can ask your other presidents and that they're going to be there to help you out. So work with each other. I don't know where it went. Did I skip over this? Oh, resources. I did skip over it. I'm a resource for you, the RBD. But one thing I want to highlight is all of your other presidents are resources for you too. If you are a returning president, so you've already served in the president role before and you are coming back as a president, please put that in the group me now. So that way people know oh, they've done this thing before, they're a little more experienced, maybe I can ask them for some help or advice or tips or whatever. I personally have never been an RHA president. I've been a vice president before, but I, through lots of experience, have lots of insight into how to help being a president. But also your NCC, your advisors, they're great resources for you. This year, 2 of my goals are to come up with a President's Almanac, which kind of records all of the facts and figures of our RHAs and NRHHs in the region, as well as a President's Guide, which is kind of like this chat. It's a how-to for being a president in SWACURH. There's also the SWACURH website, the NACURH website, and then our bylaws, policy book, and NACURH's governing documents as well. Okay, that is it. I'm so sorry for keeping y'all overtime. Okay, Kaisha has said, I'll put this in the group me, but for you NACURH presidents going to NACURH, Saturday is corporate info. In corporate info, you can wear casual attire. Sunday is corporate business, which you must wear business casual or business professional at. I'll put that in the group me, but that's what it should be, okay? So we officially adjourn at 9:12. Thank you all for coming. I greatly appreciate it. I love spending time with you all. As always, for every chat, I will stay on until everyone has left. So if you have any questions, if you just want to talk, if you need anything, I'm here. So you can stay on after the chat and we can talk. But if you don't have anything, have a wonderful rest of your week. If you're going to NACURH, I look forward to meeting you in a couple days. And good night. Snaps, we're done. LOL. Dog filters. All right, yes, Jessica.
I'm good. I was trying to get off.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, with my scissor hands.
Oh, Lord, what'd you do?
It got, my whole hand got smashed in my car door.
Oh.
And so I have 2, these are crushed knuckles, and this one, well, it's crushed too, but it, like, right here on the finger, it's, like, turned this way. So they hurt pretty bad. That's why I've been, like, constantly moving, because they hurt pretty bad.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
so sorry.
It happens. I'm the world's, like, worst accident-prone person ever.
Really? Aw. Let me stop this recording real quick. I just remembered that it's recording.